Hi friends, Iberia here, and as you can see, the next Moogle Treasure Trove event is upon us. It's starting on Wednesday, February 26th, and will be going until the release of patch 7.2. As of recording, we don't have an exact date for when patch 7.2 is coming out, but we have been told that it will be late March, so we should have 3 weeks to a month to participate in the Moogle Treasure Trove event. As you can see, this one is called The Hunt for Phantasmagoria. Today I'm going to be going over the different rewards that are available and which ones that I think are and aren't worth it. And of course, the final decision will be left up to you, but I will be giving you the information of where these items come from in the game so that you'll know which ones are worth it to you to farm and which ones aren't. Before we get into that though, let's talk about the Mogpendium and how this works for anybody who maybe is new to this event and has never done it before. If you have, there will be chapters in the video as always, so you can skip ahead to the actual items. So if you are a new or returning player, the Moogle Tombstone event is a little bit different from how it used to be in the past. But for the past year-ish or so, they have been doing this Mogpendium thing. So to get started with this, if you've not unlocked it, you just need to talk to the itinerant Moogle in either Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, or Gridania. They are all near the Aetheryte Plaza, very hard to miss, and that will unlock it for you. You can talk to those NPCs directly to look at the Mogpendium to see what different things you can do to earn these Moogle Tombstones, or you can click on Duty and then Collections, and then you can access the Mogpendium from there. So there's 3 different types of objectives, well technically 4 here that you can do. The first ones are standard objectives. These are things that you can spam, you can do them as much as you want, and those will be shown in the Mogpendium. It's really cool because they have also included gates in those, and I think ocean fishing as well, although usually the ocean fishing isn't super worth it because you spend a lot of time and you don't get a ton of Moogle Tombstones. Maybe I'll do a video on that if I'm not feeling lazy. Then you have your weekly objectives and your mini-mog challenges. Both of these can be completed once per week, and I believe that they change every week and they're different for different people. So you'll just again have to look in your Mogpendium for those. Between these two, you can make 30 per week, and it's usually super quick and easy, so you definitely want to do those. And then you have the Ulti-Mog challenges, which is something that you can only do once per event. I think you get 50 Moogle Tombstones for doing this, so it is a lot. So that's kind of how it works, is you just do those challenges and make sure that you claim the rewards within your Mogpendium. But with that said, let's get to the actual items and talking about which ones are worth it and which ones are not. Starting off with the Paissa Earring, this one is 100 Moogle Tombstones, and that is because it is the exclusive item for this event. Usually there is an exclusive accessory for each Moogle Tombstone event, and this time it is the Paissa Earring. We can see it a little bit bigger here at the top. I think it's very cute, but it's one of those things where you have to decide if you like it enough to feel like it's worth farming 100 for it, especially if there's other things that you will want from this list. But just know that it is exclusive. There is a small chance it could come back in a future Moogle Tombstone event as a 50 Tombstone item, but in general, these events are the only time that you'll be able to get this earring. Next, we have the Inferno Jacket, which was originally given during one of the past Moogle Tombstone events. I think in the past it was the 100 Tombstone exclusive item, so now they've brought it back for 50. A lot of people really liked this jacket and thought it was cool. So if you like it, this is the time to get it because it is going to be an exclusive item. We might see it in a future Moogle Tombstone, but it may take a while, so if you want it, now is the time to get it. Next up for 50 Moogle Tombstones is the Shadow Gwiber Trumpet. This comes from the Hades Extreme Trial in Shadowbringers, which you can unsync, so if you prefer, you can farm it with a party. However, I actually think this one is worth farming via the Moogle Tombstone event, just because this particular Extreme Trial, even unsynced, is a little bit annoying, because if I'm remembering correctly, there is a cutscene that you have to sit through every single time. So, in my opinion, maybe do your weekly challenges and a couple other things and get your Shadow Gwiber Trumpet with the Moogle Tombstone event. Similarly, we have the Falcon Ignition Key, and as far as I'm aware, there is no other way to get this in the game aside from the Moogle Tombstone event. This one does roll around every so often with the Moogle Tombstone events. It's not in every single one, but it's pretty common enough for them to put it in the Moogle Tombstone event, but still it can be considered an exclusive item. So for 50 Moogle Tombstones, I think that is worth it if you like this mount and that it's something you want to have. Next up, we have the Magicked bed for 50 Moogle Tombstones. This is craftable by Carpenter, but it does require some mats from the treasure dungeon Lygia, so those mats can be somewhat of a rare drop. This costs about 1.6 million on the market board, so if you would rather save your gil but you think this bed is cool, then I would say go ahead and spend your 50 Moogle Tombstones. There is a reskin of this bed as well that comes from the Unreal Trials, the currency that you get from that, but I think that one is probably even more expensive because it's a bit of a farm, so I would go for this one and I would probably get it with your 50 Moogle Tombstones. Next up for 50 Moogle Tombstones, we have the Queen's Guard Barding. This one is a rare drop from the last chest in Delubrum Reginae, and you can buy it, but it costs about 2 mil on the market board, so if you like this Barding, I would definitely say get it for the Moogle Tombstones. Next up is the Ancient One Minion for 50 Moogle Tombstones. This is a rare drop from the Anamnesis Anator dungeon, which can also be purchased on the market board for 800k, so again, if you value your gil, then you might prefer to farm this one. Moving on to the Primal Angel Orchestrion roll for 50 Moogle Tombstones. This is a rare drop from Eden's Verse Furor, and it'll cost you about 600k on the market board, so this is another one where you might prefer to farm it over spending your gil. Next up, for 30 Moogle Tombstones, we have Modern Aesthetics Form and Function, one of the only short hairstyles in the game that I like. No offense to short hair lovers, it's just not my thing, but this one I think is super cute and I actually really like it. This comes from Eureka, and you can also buy it on the market board for about 500 or 600k, so I definitely think this is a worthwhile farm to save you some money, or if you haven't unlocked Eureka or don't enjoy Eureka, this is an alternative way to get this item. Moving on to the Pleasant Dot Parasol for 30 Moogle Tombstones. This one will cost you 25 Bosgen clusters or 250k on the market board. So this is another one where if you want to save your gil, farm it. I personally don't think 250k is a lot, so I almost feel like I'd rather save my time and just spend the gil. But I mean, it is an option if you haven't unlocked Bosja. And the farming for clusters in Bosja, it's not so bad, but it can take a bit of time, so, this one's really up to you whether or not you think it's worth it for Moogle Tombstones. Next up, we have Ballroom Etiquette, the Winsome Wallflower. This is the lean emote. This is a really cool emote. I think it's probably one of my favorites in the game, and I have used it a lot. Back when I was in an FC that wasn't just like 3 people, I used to sit outside my FC and use this emote to lean on the wall. This costs 1800 Sky Builders scripts. You can also get it from Fet Presents, but that would have to be some pretty good luck. Or you can spend 200k on the market board. Again, for 30 Moogle Tombstones, I feel like maybe I would rather just spend the 200k, but again, that's going to be up to you. Next up, we have the MGP Platinum card which is costing 30 Moogle tomestones and will reward you with 50,000 MGP. This one is basically always worth it, especially if you already have most of the items from this Moogle Tombstone event, or there's not a lot of stuff from here that you're interested in. This is always great because there are so many different rewards in the gold saucer that are really cool, that are worth it. There's some long farms like a 2 million MGP and a 4 million MGP mount, so these are fantastic. Next up we have the Elbst Horn, which comes from the Sahagin tribe. You have to be trusted in order to get this, and it will cost you 120k. If you get it from the Moogle Tombstone, 30 Moogle Tomestones is the cost. I would argue this is not really worth it unless you want to save the gil, because these Beast Tribe quests are really easy. And sometimes doing the Beast Tribes, especially these earlier ones in A Realm Reborn, will also unlock some like rare dyes that you can only buy from these vendors. So I personally think it's really worth your time to do these quests and spend the 120k on it, but again, totally up to you. The bomb palanquin is the same deal, 30 Moogle tomestones, or you can go to the Kobold tribe, which is somewhere in the Limsa map, Lenosha, whatever. And again, you have to be trusted and it'll cost you 120k. I personally think doing the tribes is worth it. Moving on, we have the legendary Kamuy Fife for 30 Moogle tomestones. This comes from the Minstrel's Ballad, Shinryu's Domain. I don't think this is that worth it unless you struggle with RNG a lot, because I think you could unsync this one possibly solo, if not with like a friend or two. So to me, I just don't necessarily think it's worth it. Same with the Hallowed Kamuy Fife. This one comes from the Wreath of Snakes Extreme and is also 30 Moogle tomestones. I just think these are really easy to unsync at this point. You don't even need a full party, so to me, not really worth it. Alright, next we're moving into some housing items. We have the Woodland Chair for 20 Moogle tomestones. This one is absolutely not worth 20 Moogle tomestones. It only costs 3k or less on the market board, and it is craftable by carpenters, so you can craft it yourself if you want to. The same is true of the Apothecary's Workbench for 20 Moogle tomestones. You can craft it with carpenter, or you can spend less than 10k on the market board to buy it. The Candlelit Sundries are a little more expensive. They top out at around 40k on the market board, but they're also craftable by alchemist, so for 20 Moogle tomestones, I don't think this is worth it. But it's getting worse. The Fat Cat Rug for 20 Moogle tomestones is worth less than 2k on the market board, or you can craft it with Gwiber. The Fluffy Pancakes for 20 Moogle tomestones, also not a good purchase, because once again, you can spend less than 1k to buy this on the market board, or you can craft it with Culinarian. They've also put in here the Minion Wind Up Sylph for 15 Moogle tomestones. This will cost you 25k if you buy it from the Sylph tribe. This is another beast tribe that you have to unlock and do. I'm not sure that you have to get like trusted or any special reputation for this one. I think it probably just unlocks once you unlock the tribe. But again, I don't think it's worth it, even for 15. I know that's not a lot. Like 25k isn't a lot, and again, the ARR tribes have some rare dyes that you can get, so like just go do this tribe. Moving on, we have a bunch of the Skallic Gears. A lot of people really like these gears, and they're costing 15 Moogle tomestones, which isn't bad, so it's going to be up to you if you prefer to get it with Moogle tomestones, because 15 isn't a lot. It's quite easy. You won't be able to get the whole set though. They're really only offering the top and the bottom. The way to get these normally would be to run the Drowned City of Skala. You can easily unsync this and just bulldoze your way through, but of course there will be some RNG in terms of what you actually get from the chest, so I could definitely see it being worth it to spend 15 Moogle tomestones on these pieces if you really like them and want them. However, there are reskins of these pieces, which I think came out in an Endwalker, and they are called Saiga Skin or Snow Linen, and there are 3 different NPCs that you can buy these from for about 43k. So there is the Junkmonger in Thabnir, the Pillar of Industry in Mare Lamentorum, and the Junkmonger in Mare Lamentorum. All these NPCs have the reskin version of these pieces, so if you would prefer to just buy the reskin version, that's an option too. Next up, we have all of these maps, these time-worn maps, which guarantee a portal. These are all 15 Moogle tomestones, and we have maps for 70, 80, and 90. So I personally do think these are worth it, even though these maps are no longer current. There are still some rare drops and special materials and things from these that can still sell for a decent price, or can be used to craft things that can be sold for a decent price. For example, some of the crafted fashions from here, there's like the Frontier outfit from, I think, the Endwalker one, or is it Shadowbringers? But there's the Frontier outfit, there is the Calfskin Rider outfit, there's the Martial Artist outfit, I think the Varsity outfit might come from here too. So there's a bunch of outfits that come from some of these mats that come from some of these older maps. Mats and maps, don't get it mixed up. And then there's also rare mounts that come from old maps. Usually you have to collect 3 of a particular item and then you can exchange that for the mount. So if you have goals to get any of those things, then these are definitely going to be worth it for you. Next up, we have a bunch of riding maps for 10 Moogle tomestones. These are pretty much never worth it unless you're a collector and you just like being a completionist. But the reason is you can fly in all of these areas, and flying is faster than riding. And no, these maps will not make you fly faster. That is a myth. That is not a thing. They will not make you fly faster. I actually tested this in my misconceptions video. I showed a little clip with my friend showing how it doesn't change it because one of us had the map and one of us didn't. So please stop spreading that myth. The maps are not going to make you fly faster. They make your ground speed faster, but they don't make you fly faster. So as long as you can fly, you really don't need to spend your tomestones on these unless for some reason you want to. Next up, we have triple triad cards. I feel that these are always worth it because some of these are drops from dungeons, which makes them harder to get because sometimes there might be RNG involved. Some of them you just get lucky and they go right into your inventory. Still RNG to get it. Other ones, sometimes you have to roll on them. So whenever I see triple triad cards, I'm like, just get them if you don't have them. In this case, the 3 that come from dungeons are the Seeker of Solitude, the Shadowbringers, Warrior of Light, and Eden's Promise. These other 2 come from battles, like triple triad battles. Or am I calling it a battle? The card game. You play it with an NPC, but in my opinion, I'm totally bad at those. I would rather just spend my Moogle tomestones. As you can see, these 2 are 10 and the rest are 7, so they are really, really cheap. Next, we have the Biddy Duckbill Minion. This one costs 7 Moogle tomestones, but to buy it in the actual game, it is 800 sacks of nuts, which is a hunt currency. And personally, that's kind of expensive. Like, pay the 7 Moogle tomestones. You can use your sacks of nuts for so much better stuff, like upgrades for your gear, or materia. Like, do not spend it on this since you can get this from the Moogle Tombstone event. Bacon Bits is a similar situation. It's 200k on the market board, and it comes from Woodland Exploration 25, which is a retainer venture. So it seems to be a bit of a rare drop. So like, because it's so cheap, why spend 200k? Just spend your 7 Moogle tomestones. Next, we have the Gardens Gates Orchestrion roll for 7 Moogle tomestones. I personally don't think this is worth it. I think you should get it the normal way from the Pixie Tribe currency exchange. So this is another Beast Tribe, or now they're called Allied Society quests. This is the one that's in Ilmeg in Shadowbringers. It costs 6 Fey Fancies. That's nothing. You will get that in no time doing the quests for that tribe. However, another thing that I want to say is, if you are leveling up a job, this tribe will give you really good EXP for anything between 70 and 79. Well, I guess technically 70 and 80. So to me, like, why bother spending your tomestones on this? Go do the thing that has like more benefit and reward, which is the pixie tribes. Just go do that. Next, we have Curiel Root. Why am I even talking about this? Like, you could buy them on the market board for really cheap. Like, this is pointless. And then finally, our last item that we get every single time is these Magicked prisms, which are really just the pity thing that you spend your leftover Moogle tomestones on when you're like, wow, the event is over and I've got like 3 left. I can't spend it on anything else. In that case, you either buy these or you just discard them, you know? Because they never bring back the exact same tombstone. Like, you're never going to earn more of these. You can sometimes use them retroactively through the NPC, but yeah. Okay, so that is everything. At the end of the day, it is completely up to you to decide which items you think are worth farming and which ones aren't. But I hope that this video was helpful to you so you know where they come from, which ones are exclusive, which ones are expensive, and that can help you hopefully make a decision about what to prioritize when farming this Moogle Tombstone event. As always, please consider leaving a sacrifice to Lord Algorithm in the form of a like, comment, share, or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to my channel members for supporting me. Bye!